to credential them if they arrive late.
Okay, well, we need to, Claudia Swisher is now on duty as our credentialer. And do we want to go ahead? Do we need to start with our credentialing report that we met for him?
Nope, that comes in a little bit. So, but I think the time is 10:04 Central Time. My computer says 11:04. I'm on East Coast time. And so as chair of the convention, I will call this meeting to order at 10:04 today, April 3rd, to the Cleveland County Democratic Party County Convention. So we are at order. The first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance, and I will, if I can find it. One moment, please. Sorry, I practiced this and then it went away. There it is. Share. All right. At this time, if you'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag.
To the flag of the United States of America.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. I'd like to recognize our Democratic elected officials from Cleveland County. I believe on the call we have Senator Mary Bourne and Representative Jacob Rosecrans is already on the call. Marilyn Bell from my district. I'm not sure she's on the call yet. And Minority Leader Emily Virgin is expected to arrive at some point. So wanted to recognize them and thank them for their service against some difficult conditions at the state legislature. The next thing would be remarks from Emily Virgin. Jared, do you know if she's logging in soon, or should we go on to the next at this point?
Well, Kathy, I have a phone number trying to admit ending in 571.
Jared, can you confirm that's Representative Virgin? Or
yeah, what's the number again?
What does it end in?
405 and it ends in 571.
No, that's not her.
Okay.
We told her 1015. So
okay. Well, I'll tell you what, let's do. Let's if our rules chair doesn't say that this is illegal, we can pop forward and do the next couple things and then circle back. Is that okay? All right, got a thumbs up. All right, so that means the we're going to skip and we'll come back to her. As you know, I am serving as the convention chair on behalf of Richard Bornhauser as he's continuing his recovery. He's kind of out there in the ether listening, and we're glad he's here, boss. But he did submit his remarks, and I will read them to you now. Richard says, first of all, I want to welcome everyone to the Cleveland County Democratic Convention. Difficult circumstances, I know, but you can make this work. I am sorry that my health circumstances prevent me from attending. Believe me, I would much rather be participating. I want to thank you all for the opportunity to be your chair for the past 2 years. This has been an awesome experience and one I will never forget. While we have not made as much progress on the elections as we would have liked, but I believe we have positioned ourselves to make progress in the future. Our finances are in good shape, and our new officers will carry us down the road. Oklahoma will be blue again. Well, or at least purple. Continue to keep up the struggle. As slow as the progress seems at times, it's worth the fight. Thank you, Richard Bornhauser. It's been an honor to work with you for the last 2 years. You've been a great boss. All right, the next thing, whoops, we don't need that. I'm going to stop the share for now. And the next thing on the agenda is the treasurer's report. So I will recognize myself as vice chair and treasurer of the county party. The county's party's bank balance at the time of our last convention in 2019 was $9,436. The bank balance as of March 30th, 2021 was $18,117. While the pandemic necessarily canceled half of our traditional in-person fundraisers, the shortfall was made up by the online Giving Day fundraiser, which was seeking to have 20 one-time donations and 20 new or increased recurring donations. The increase in our recurring donations lifted our sustaining donor levels to an amount that currently covers our regular monthly and annual expenses. So thank you very much. In addition, the response to our offering of Biden-Harris signs and bumper stickers was overwhelming. At the time of our Get Out the Vote budget meeting, we estimated an additional $10,000 to our balance at the time. However, we ended up bringing in over $28,000. After deducting the expenses for the printing and purchasing, the additional donations have left our bank balance in surprisingly healthy condition, given the challenges of the past year. For this, the Central Committee deeply thanks all of those who donated or volunteered to deliver signs to keep our donors safe. This healthy balance will give the next administration the ability to fund activities to strengthen the county party and to get Democrats elected. All the details regarding specific expenses can be read in the financial report, which was emailed to all delegates and which is also posted on our website at ccdemsok.com. So I will not read the whole report to you. But we're in good shape. Thanks everyone who has donated. If you're a recurring donor, thank you very much. And everyone who has worked so hard the last 2 years and especially the last year, we're in great shape thanks to you. So the next order of business is the report of the Credentials Committee. And our committee chair is Caitlin Gleason-Dockery, who I want to thank for sticking with us because they will be 3 soon. So thank you, Caitlin. I will yield the floor to Caitlin.
Yes, absolutely. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to County Convention. I'm glad to be here with you all today. Just to let you know, Credentials Committee, we've met numerous times just trying to ensure that this process was as smooth and easy as possible. So I hope that you all found it to be that way. So as of just a couple minutes ago on my last count, we have officially 52 delegates in attendance, thus achieving quorum. So on behalf of the Credentials Committee, I move that the roll of delegates and proxies hereby submitted to be the official roll of voting members of the convention.
Thank you, Caitlin. Are there any questions about the credentials report? If you have a question, I see Troy has raised his hand. Can you unmute?
Well, my question was before this came about, but we never voted on accepting the treasurer's report. And I think that's part of the rules, isn't it, that you have to vote on accepting the treasurer's report?
Ben?
No, until the credentials report is accepted, we cannot vote. There are no delegates until the credentials vote is accepted. So
Okay.
it is actually oddly, because the treasurer's report happens beforehand, it is not, there isn't a convention to accept it.
Okay.
Thank you, Troy. Thanks for clarifying that, Ben. Okay, so are there any questions regarding the credentials report? Seeing no hands raised, I'm assuming there are no other questions. And so this is a by
I think
voice.
point of order.
Oh, yes, sir.
Do a quick reminder on how to raise hands.
Correct. We're going to get, okay. How about you do that?
So because of based on how everyone's screens are going to be looking differently, you do have some view options, but if you're on an iPhone, you just see the speaker. And if you're on a PC, you may see 40 people on your screen, depending on how big your screen is. Within the Zoom settings, there is an option called reactions. On my computer, it's called reactions. Some people may see this under their participants list, but under reactions, there's a raise hand button on my computer. So that allows me to raise my hand, and then it brings my screen to like the first position on the admin's computer. So then if you have a question, you click on the raise hand, and then you will get brought to our attention, because I can only see 20 people, but there's, you know, like we said, 50 something people here. If all else fails, I mean, you could just wave your arms real big and stuff. Hopefully somebody will see you, but to not make us all look crazy on the internet, jumping around and waving our arms on a screen, we'll use that raise hand. You can also lower your hand after you've been called on by going back to your, hopefully, reactions and then clicking lower hand. But I know we've done lots of practice sessions, but some of us are real comfortable with this. Some of us is our first time. So please don't be afraid to, like, there's the chat. If you have to need to use the chat to, like, not, you know, ask for acknowledgement, you know, hopefully we can use the raise hand function instead of the chat.
Yeah.
And then
just to be clear, just to keep things as simple as possible. I mean, feel free to use the chat, but really, in order to be called on, you should raise your hands. So this would be a good time if you're really having, see if you, can we just have everybody raise their hands just to make sure that people know how to do it?
So you should be able to see, I'm assuming as a non-admin, you can see all the little hands pop up.
Yep.
Yay.
Excellent. Man,
Good.
we have an awesome county.
Okay.
And then you get to practice lowering your hand.
Yeah, I can practice lowering your hands.
Okay.
Cool.
So instead of having us all unmute and shout out aye and nay, I think that's probably the most efficient way to do a voice vote. Do you agree, Ben?
I'm comfortable with it if you're comfortable with it. I'm not. I work rules, not tech. So tech people, figure out what the most efficient way to make a voice vote is.
I would say based on the Pledge of Allegiance, and us all hearing over each other, that was kind of, I don't know if we all unmute and say aye, what we'll actually hear.
Right. But at least
could I make a, sorry. I could make a suggestion.
Yes, sir.
Just ask, as they do in the United States Senate, without objection, and we won't require 60 votes. However, this, you say without objection, and if no one objects, then the motion passes.
I see a nod yes from Ben. So
That'll work.
Okay, that'll work. All right, then. Then without objection, I will find my moving my script. Without objection.
Oh wait, Travis has his hand up. Their hand up. Excuse me, Travis.
Thank you.
Yes, Travis.
As a point of order, Caitlin has made a motion and that motion has not yet been seconded. I would second the motion.
Thank you, Travis.
Thanks, Travis.
We had a motion from the Credentials Committee and a second by Travis. Without objection, we will consider that the Credentials Committee report accepted by the convention. Okay. All right, the next point of order is the Rules Committee.
Okay, now welcome to the most necessary but most boring part of today's proceedings. So I'm about to read the rules, which will then be accepted by the convention. Let me specify a couple other things. We've already gone over a bit of this, but one of the things about our rules, as you'll see, is beyond what's in our rules, we are governed by the rules of the Oklahoma Democratic Party, by the rules of the National Democratic Party, and by Robert's Rules of Order, which obviously aren't part of these rules, but are part of what we're doing. In light of that, if you want to be recognized for a motion, raise your hand electronically to be recognized. Only spoken motions will be accepted. If we allow people to put motions in chat, motions will be missed, and that really won't work. So raise your hand to be recognized and make a motion orally if you need to make a motion. Under ODP rules, we've already started talking about this. Votes other than elections are taken by voice. unless there's a motion for a division of the assembly. So we'll do that using hands as, no, excuse me, we'll do that as we just said by Kathy saying without objection. And or whoever's chairing at that time saying without objection. If there are objections, it just takes 2 delegates to call for a division of the assembly, and then there will be a roll call vote, because really the easiest way to count votes under this current format is by roll call. For those of you who are old hands at this game, the Democratic Party prohibits secret ballots, and for that reason we can't have the voting functions on Zoom can't be used. So when we have to count votes, if there are divisions of the assembly or contested elections, they will be done by roll call. Okay, with that, let me just quickly read the rules. Rule 1 is the agenda. Call to order and welcome, pledge of allegiance, recognition of Democratic elected officials, remarks from Evelyn Virgin, comments from the chair, treasurer's report, report of the credentials committee, report of the rules committee. Hey, we're more than halfway through this agenda. Election of officers, which include the chair, vice chair, secretary, 2 affirmative action officers, and state convention delegates. A report of the resolutions committee, a consideration of the resolutions, announcements, and adjournment. Seems pretty simple. Rule 2, purpose of the meeting. The purpose of this meeting is to elect county officers, chair, vice chair, secretary, and 2 affirmative action officers to 2-year terms, to elect state delegates to represent the county at district and state conventions to 2-year terms, and to consider resolutions and such other businesses may come before the body. Rule 3, resolutions not in committee report. Any resolution not recommended for adoption by the resolutions committee may be moved by any delegate of the body if the resolution is submitted in writing via Google Doc, shared with the presiding officer at or before the time his motion is made, accompanied by a Google Doc petition of support signed by at least 25% of the delegates in attendance. Rule 4, amending resolutions, substantive amendments. The substance of any resolution may be amended by a delegate's vote moving such a substantive amendment, provided the amendment is submitted in writing via Google Doc shared with the presiding officer at or before the time the motion is made, accompanied by a Google Doc petition of support signed by at least 25% of the delegates in attendance. B, stylistic amendments. Any purely stylistic amendment to the resolution, i.e. matters of grammar, spelling, and so forth, or minor corrections of factual error in them, do not require a petition of support, but must be given to the resolutions committee in writing via Google Doc before the call to order. So I guess it's too late for that. If the resolutions committee believes any such proposed non-substantive amendments are in fact substantive, they will request the submitting delegate to gather a petition of support as per the rule on substantive amendments. Rule 5, debate. Debate on any motion other than resolution shall be limited to 2 minutes for each side for a total of 4 minutes. B, debate on any resolution of body of resolution shall be limited to 3 minutes for each side for a total of 6 minutes. Rule 6, election of officers. Order of election. The order of election shall be first, the chair, second, the vice chair, third, secretary, fourth, the first affirmative action officer, and fifth, the second affirmative action officer. The elections of state delegates shall follow the election of these county officers. Close of nominations. Nominations shall not be closed by a vote of the convention, but shall continue until there are no further nominations. Speeches. Following the close of nominations for each position, each candidate shall be allowed 1 nominating speech of not more than 2 minutes, 1 seconding speech of not more than 1 minute, and a speech by the candidate of not more than 2 minutes. Speaking order shall be the order in which the nominations were made. Nominating speeches for all candidates shall be given first, and seconding speeches for all candidates, and finally all candidate speeches, after which the election shall be held. Voting. All elections shall be voted by counted vote. If no candidate receives a majority on the first vote, there shall be a runoff election between the 2 candidates receiving the greatest number of votes on the first vote. If there is 1 candidate nominated for an office, the chair shall declare that person elected. There shall be no nominating or secondary speeches, and no vote shall be taken. Gender representation. According to Democratic Party rules, the chair and vice chair must be of different genders, i.e. male, female, or non-binary, as must be the 2 affirmative action officers. The Democratic Party considers gender a matter of self-identification. Rule 7, election of state delegates. District and state conventions. State delegates are expected to attend both the 4th District Convention on Saturday, May 1st, 2021 via Zoom, and the Oklahoma State Convention, which will be held June 11th through 12th, 2021, location to be announced, either via Zoom or in person in Oklahoma City. The district convention is an all-day event. The state convention will last 2 days with resolutions of the election of officers taking place on Sunday, June 12th. It is essential that state delegates be available to attend all days of these events. Delegate count. The chair and parliamentarian will do an informal count of the number of county delegates present at the county convention who wish to be state delegates, plus the number of other eligible Democrats whom county delegates plan to nominate to be state delegates. If the number of delegates so identified is equal to or less than the number of delegates to be elected, and neither the number of male nor female delegates exceeds half the overall allotment of elected delegates for the county, the chair will formally take nominations for these delegate slots and declare them elected to state delegates. If only one gender exceeds the allotted number of delegates, the chair will formally take nominations for delegates of other genders and declare them to be state delegates. Any delegate slots unfilled will be declared vacant to be filled according to Democratic Party rules. Formation of caucuses. If more male and or female candidates are identified by the chair and parliamentarian as wishing to be state delegates than the number of male and or female state delegate slots to be filled, the convention will divide into caucuses, which shall elect a slate of state delegates corresponding to the gender or genders with candidates in excess of delegate slots. The Rules Committee will then assign its members and the newly elected county officers, if necessary, as coordinators to a determined number of caucuses. Once each caucus has recorded the names of its male, female, and non-binary members, including proxies held by those in them, the Rules Committee will assign to each caucus a number of male and or female delegates to be elected proportional to the size of the caucus, taking into account the gender composition of each caucus if delegates of more than one gender are to be nominated. Smaller caucuses may be asked to consolidate. Caucus elections. Each caucus shall then take nominations from its members for their allotted state delegates. County delegates can self-nominate but need a second. Any non-delegate registered Cleveland County Democrat can be nominated by a county delegate, provided they receive a second. Caucuses assigned delegates of more than two genders will conduct at least two elections. Each nominee present of a given gender will have the opportunity to give a 1-minute speech. Each delegate in the caucus shall cast one vote for his or her choice for state delegate of the gender the caucus is electing. The candidates will then be listed in order of number of votes received, with the top vote recipient being elected as state delegates up to the number of delegates of that gender allotted to the caucus. In the event there's a tie for the election of the final state delegates, the person tied for the final position shall run against each other in a runoff election. The names of nominees not elected as state delegates shall be recorded as alternates, listed by order of their total votes. If the caucus is selecting nominees of more than one gender, the procedure will then be repeated. Caucuses can elect non-binary nominees. Reporting election results. Each caucus will report to the secretary the names and contact information of state delegates and alternates divided by gender and in electoral order that it is elected. The secretary will then report to the convention the names of those elected to be state delegates by the caucuses. Finally, alignment of alternates. Should any state delegate leave office for any reason before the state convention meets, he or she shall be replaced by an alternate of the same gender from the same caucus if the delegate has been elected by caucus based on vote totals and willing to serve. And that's the rules. By direction of the Rules Committee, I move adoption of the Cleveland County 2021 Democratic Party Convention rules as just read. And I think I need a second.
Okay, I'll second.
I'll second it. This is Troy Green.
All right, are there any, Kathy Rand? Ooh, not anymore.
I was just going to second it.
I'm turning off my chat so I can see. All right, so we have a motion from the committee and a second. Without objection, we will accept the Committee of the Rules report for the Convention 2021. All right, that being said, the next order of business, I believe we have Representative Emily Virgin in the room now. And so we will loop back and welcome to the convention, Representative Virgin. We would like to yield the floor to you for your remarks.
All right. Thank you so much, Kathy. And that was impressive, I have to say. I'm glad that I showed up for that. I'm so glad to be with you all. This, as you have seen, has been a pretty challenging legislative session for those of us who are serving in the legislature. And I know it's been pretty traumatic for those who just watch us as well. And I have to say that, this is my 11th session at the Capitol. And I have to say that this is, I think, the most partisan and the most divisive session that I've been a part of. And, that's unfortunate because I think we have the most important issues right now to deal with. But unfortunately, the Republican leadership at the Capitol has chosen, instead of addressing issues like police reform, of which there were many bills filed, instead of addressing those issues and letting those bills be heard, they've chosen to move forward with bills like the ones that allow people to run over protesters without any criminal or civil liability. And it breaks my heart to think about the message that we are sending to people across the state when those are clearly the values of those in leadership at the state capitol. So that's that's sort of a report from the Capitol. I wish it were better news, but the good thing is that you are all here on a Saturday morning, and I can't think of a more dedicated group to the betterment of Oklahoma. And I want you to know that as Democrats at the Capitol, the groups like yours, the county Democrats across the state, are really the groups of people who keep us going at the Capitol. We know that we have support at home. We know that we're not necessarily talking to the folks in the Capitol when we're asking questions and debating. We're talking to those who are outside the Capitol, those who are watching us and paying attention to what we do and what we say. So I want to thank you for your advocacy, your commitment. This is a wonderful turnout for a Saturday morning of Easter, and I wish we were in person, but I think that we will be soon, hopefully. I want to give a shout out. I think I see Representative Rosecrans is also here with us, and I think I saw Senator Boren, who is here with us as well. So I want to thank them also for their hard work at the Capitol. I couldn't ask for better colleagues, especially in the Norman area. So the House Democrats, we've released a legislative agenda, and we are also working on a caucus budget to contrast with what we see proposed by the Republicans at the end of May. You can go to oklahomafocused.com and see our list of legislative priorities. The reason that we chose Oklahoma Focused as the title of our agenda is because, frankly, we see Republicans in Oklahoma who are focused on anything but the needs of everyday working Oklahomans. They're focused on everything that's happening in Washington, D.C. They were focused on Georgia. They were focused on elections in other states, including Arizona. They were sending letters to attorneys general in other states asking them to change their election results. And we just got fed up with it. And I hope that Oklahomans get fed up with it too. We really are, as Democrats, we're the ones who are fighting for the betterment of the lives of Oklahomans each and every day. When you look at the legislation that we've proposed and the legislation that Republicans have proposed, the difference could not be more stark. We are focused on things like restoring the earned income tax credit, raising the minimum wage, funding education and other core services, things that will truly make a difference in the lives of Oklahomans who frankly are suffering right now. And then you see the priorities of Republicans. They're focused on social issues, attacking transgender children, and further restricting reproductive rights. And it's sort of the same old playbook, but I feel really good about where we are as a Democratic Party right now because we are providing a blueprint for what we think would really make a difference in Oklahoma. I think that's one of the most important things that I've stressed as minority leader is that we have to not only fight against what Republicans are doing every day, but we also have to say what we would do differently. We have to focus on those priorities and letting the voters know, if you vote for Democrats, this is what you'll get. One of the biggest things that we have to fight against, of course, is that we get lumped in with national politics and National Democrats. And while I am a huge fan of National Democrats, what we have to do as Oklahoma Democrats is define what we are as Oklahoma Democrats and what we're fighting for. So we're trying to do that as best we can, but we need your help in talking to your neighbors and your friends and really letting them know that it's okay to vote for Democrats. And this is what you'll get if you vote for Democrats. In Norman, that's not as difficult as a task as it is in other places, but we have to count on those conversations to let folks know that if we elected more Democrats in the state, we would see a huge difference in the outcomes for children, for families, for women, for marginalized communities everywhere in this state. So I challenge you to make sure that we're not just having conversations in this setting, that we're having conversations outside of this setting as well, to let people know what Democrats are focused on, who Democrats are, and what we're focused on, and to let them know about the difference we can make if we had a more balanced Capitol, if we had more balanced representation at the Capitol. We wouldn't continue to see attacks on public education. We wouldn't continue to see attacks on marginalized communities. We would see those communities lifted up, and we would see public education prioritized instead of attacked. So I thank you for your time today, and thanks Jared and Kathy for making sure that I had a little time to speak to you all today. And please always reach out to us. Our legislative delegation in Norman is very accessible. So I hope that you will reach out to us and let us know, and let us know if you have questions after going to oklahomafocused.com. If you want to talk about those issues in more detail with your friends and neighbors, reach out to us if you need more information. And again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. This is, I guess, the second to last convention that I'll have as a representative. And I can't tell you how thankful I am for this group for the past 11 years being incredibly supportive. And I know that you all have our backs, and that means a lot when we are fighting every day at the Capitol. So thank you so much. And Kathy, I will turn it back over to you.
All right. Thank you, Representative Virgin. Really appreciate you making the time for us this morning. All right. So the next thing on the agenda, we are at the beef of the convention, the election of officers. This year we will be electing 5 officers. As a result of the change at the state party level, we now have 2 affirmative action officers on the Central Committee. So we will be electing a chair, a vice chair, secretary, and 2 affirmative action officers of different gender. And first up will be the election of a chair. Do I have any nominations for the office of chair? I'm going to turn off my chat so I can see better. Senator Mary Boren, I recognize you for a nomination.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone. You're making a huge difference, not just only in Cleveland County, but throughout the state. Democrats throughout our state rely on the Cleveland County Democratic Party to not only elect Democrats in Cleveland County, but help train and activate volunteers throughout the states, and also throughout the nation. We've all worked together to elect Democrats in many states other than Oklahoma and throughout the nation. And I just want to particularly thank you all for your work. And it's my honor today and privilege to nominate Destiny Warrior for the position of chair of the Cleveland County Democratic Party. I've known Destiny personally and professionally for more than 10 years. I was trying to think exactly which year it was that Destiny and I started working together, but it was so far back, I would have had to get out journals and diaries to actually figure out the exact year. But I've known Destiny to be a dedicated educator. She's taught in public schools and also in higher education. Throughout her whole career, everywhere she's worked, she's intended to build the capacity and skill of everyone around her, and she elevates the meaningfulness of the work with her influence. If you're in her, if you're in any working group with her, I had the honor of watching her teach students at OU in the College of Education, and they were very engaged. They looked forward to coming to class. They were prepared. They were hopeful. And she was dealing with some real deep challenges within education that teachers were facing, but yet she was able to maintain and keep hope flourishing in her group. And I think that that skill set will help us as we elect more Democrats in Oklahoma and serve our constituents and serve our neighbors who aren't Democrats in a caring way. Destiny is a very caring and compassionate person. She worked with within the schools that she's worked in. She's kind of developed a community school model within a classroom setting, since Oklahoma doesn't really have community schools as in a district level, but she was still committed to providing caring and loving support to those around her. So I believe that the Cleveland County Democratic Party will be well served having Destiny Warrior in the position of chair. And please join me in electing Destiny as Cleveland County Party Chair.
All right, thank you, Senator Boren. Just a quick reminder, I think at this time, Claire, correct me if I'm wrong, Ben, we'll just take the nominations and the seconds at this time?
Right now, just nominations and seconds. After nominations and seconds are closed, if there is more than one nomination, there will be nominating and seconding speeches.
Okay, thank you. All right, so do I have a second? I see your hand raised by Jason Bingham.
I second the nomination for Destiny Warrior.
All right,
Jason Bingham.
Thank you, Jason. Okay, so we have Destiny Warrior has been nominated. Are there any other nominations for the office of chair? I'm watching the participants. Are there any other nominations for the office of chair? And for the third time, are there any other nominations for the office of chair? I'm kind of going slow because I know we're all doing this kind of new. But seeing that I have not received any other nominations for chair, I believe the rules state that if there's only one candidate nominated for chair, that the chair shall decree that person is elected and that there will be no nominating or seconding speeches and no vote will be taken. So I believe I am declaring that Destiny Warrior has been elected as chair of the Cleveland County Democratic Party. And maybe the second best thing to happen today is I am going to hand the gavel to Destiny Warrior, who is now the chair, to carry off the rest of this convention. It's all yours, my friend.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Democrats. As a point of personal privilege, I just want to reiterate what was said earlier and thank Richard for his wonderful service as chair of our county party. He's done an incredible job, and Richard, these are big shoes to fill, and we just want you to know that we support you, we love you, we care about you, and we wish you well. So now at this time, I'm going to call for nominations for vice chair, specifying that nominees must be of different gender than the chair who was just elected, which would be me. Nominations shall stay open until there are no nominations. So are there any nominations for the role of vice chair of the Cleveland County Democratic Party? Yeah, I'm looking.
Can I nominate Jamie Shelton?
You absolutely may.
Well, I would be honored to nominate Jamie Shelton.
Thank you. We have a nomination of Jamie Shelton.
No more needs to be said.
Okay. Is there a second of that nomination?
Yes, I would like to, Jared Deck, Precinct 51. I would like to second the nomination of Jamie Shelton for Vice Chair.
Okay, thank you. We have a second of the nomination for Jamie Shelton for Vice Chair. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? For the final time, are there any other nominations for Vice Chair? Seeing that there are none, then I as chair decree that Jamie Shelton has been elected as Vice Chair of the Cleveland County Democratic Party.
Thank you.
Okay, now we will move on to our first affirmative action officer. Are there any nominations for
Stephanie.
female?
Point of order.
Secretary, sorry. I apologize. We are now going to accept nominations for Secretary of the Cleveland County Democratic Party. Are there any nominations for Secretary?
This is Troy Green, District 36. I nominate Kathy Rossfuss as Secretary of the Democratic Party in Cleveland County.
Thank you, Troy. Is there a second of the nomination of Kathy for Secretary?
This is
Hi,
Bob.
Leslie Bonebright. Precinct 44, second the nomination of Kathy Rosloff.
Thank you, Leslie. Are there any other nominations for Secretary? Are there any other nominations for Secretary? Are there any other nominations for Secretary? Seeing that there are none, and Kathy has been nominated and seconded, we'd like to welcome her to the Secretary of the Cleveland County Democratic Party. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll now move on to our Male Affirmative Action Officer. Are there any nominations for Male Affirmative Action Officer?
Point of order.
Point of order.
Given under the new rules of the Democratic Party, there are no longer male and female affirmative action officers. You elect the first affirmative action officer, anybody can run for it, and then the second affirmative action officer needs to be of a different gender than the first affirmative action officer.
Thank you so much for bringing that. I appreciate it. So are there any nominations for the first affirmative action officer?
This is Jared Deck, Precinct 51. I would like to nominate Farzad Khalili for Affirmative Action Officer.
Okay, is there a second?
This is Jacob Rosecrans, Precinct 76. I second that nomination.
Thank you. We have a nomination and a second. Are there any other nominations for first affirmative action officer? Are there any other nominations for first affirmative action officer? Are there any other nominations for first affirmative action officer? Okay, seeing that there are none and we have a motion and a second, we'd like to welcome Farzad Khalili to first affirmative action officer.
Thank you, Destiny. Thanks, everybody.
I'd like to now call for nominations for the second affirmative action officer. Are there any nominations for the second affirmative action officer?
Just a point of order, just to specify, this needs to be of a different gender than the first affirmative action officer.
Or second, yeah.
And I believe, Farzad, you identify male?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay.
So once again, are there any nominations for the second affirmative action officer?
Hi, this is Caitlin Gleason Dockery, Precinct 60. I would like to nominate Taylor Broadbent.
Thank you. We have a nomination of Taylor Broadbent. Do we have a second to the nomination, Taylor Broadbent?
I am Rebecca Yanes, Precinct 9. I second the nomination.
Okay, we have a second to that nomination. Are there any others who would like to be nominated to bring a nomination for the second affirmative action officer? Are there any others who would like to be nominated as a second affirmative action officer? Are there any other nominations for the second affirmative action officer? Seeing that there are none, Taylor Broadbent has been nominated and seconded. We'd like to declare her as the second affirmative action officer. Welcome, Taylor.
Thank you, guys.
We will now move to the election of officers for state convention delegates. I want to remind potential delegates to this convention that state delegates are expected to attend both the 4th District Convention, which will take place on Saturday, May 1st, 2021, most likely via Zoom, and also the Oklahoma State Convention that will take place June 11th through 12th in a location to be announced either in by Zoom or in person in Oklahoma City. The district convention is an all-day event. The state convention will last 2 days with resolutions and election of officers, which will take place on Sunday, June 12th. It is essential that state delegates be available to attend all days of these events. I would now like to call for an informal count of delegates seeking to run for state delegate and of any additional Democrats who delegates wish to nominate for state delegate.
So I think the easiest thing to do is just raise your hand if you intend to run, and put a thumbs up if you intend to nominate somebody other than yourself. That is a non-delegate, a non-county delegate.
Mm-hmm.
Kathy, are you recording the hands?
Yes, if everybody will keep their hands up, what I'm doing is I'm going through the delegate list of people who are in attendance and marking their intention. So and it's not in alphabetical order, so
yeah,
bear with me.
Thank you, everyone, for being patient as we work this out. We really do
I don't know
appreciate
how
it.
to put, I don't know how to put a thumbs up. I mean,
It's under reactions.
Do you want to, you're intending to run as a delegate or nominate someone?
well, I just want to go. Is that,
Okay.
Then
That's
just
all
put
I
your
need to
hand
know.
up.
I don't know how to.
That's
Okay.
okay. I've got you.
Thank
Kathy,
you.
how many delegate slots do we have?
We have 38 delegate slots. Oops, I lost my place. Where'd I go? Over here.
And just to clarify, state rules require there be a even or as close to even as possible, that is within one delegate, number of male and female delegates, and then non-binary delegates are sort of not counted against that. So you take the total number of delegates, remove the number of non-binary delegates, and then you divide in half the rest of the delegates, half are male, half are female.
And I'm going to want to go back through these again to make sure that I got everybody.
Kathy, Edward, I'm going to mess up saying the last name, Edward, SW.
Ah, yes.
He had his hand up.
Sankowski?
Okay. Yes, excellent, perfect. And for people who may be brand new this year, and this is your first time to attend a county convention, the district convention will be like this on Zoom. So imagine this with people from 14 other counties, but the maximum number of delegates for the county convention, the district convention is 150, I think. And we're sitting in here with 54 people. So just we do the math and add an extra 100 people if they show up. So
can I, while we're doing this, let me put in a pitch. Whether or not you are a delegate to the district convention, it appears that Cleveland County is likely to be hosting it on Zoom, which means we will be responsible for arrangements. So as soon as this is over, we will be looking for, I think, members of the credentials, rules, and resolutions committee, though this all needs to be worked out with our district leadership. But if you are interested, contact CCDPE leadership and they'll maybe see if they can hook you up with a volunteer position, because we can always use more people working on rules and resolutions and credentials.
Okay. All right. If it's okay with everybody, could I just read through who all I have marked off? And then if I've missed anybody, you can shout at me. So I have marked Travis Darling, Leslie Bonebreak, Betty Harris, Catherine Hewitt, Jessica Marone, I messed up your name, I'm sorry, Lenora Masura, Mary Newcomb Hatch, Madison Pierce, Kathy Rand, Tomia Simpson, Rebecca Yanez, Ben Alpers, Bob Anthony, Jason Bingham, Wes Forbes, Troy Green, Eric Hermanson, Will Irwin, Haifeng G, Chris Kennedy, and Ed Sankowski. Did I miss anybody's hand raised?
Kathy?
Yes,
Donna
ma'am.
Donna Russell?
Thank you. Okay, got Donna Russell marked. Anybody else I missed who definitely wants to be? This is not the arm twisting phase. These are definitely wants to go. Anybody missed?
if you heard your name, you can lower your hand.
Okay, so what I, oh,
Suzette.
Thank you, marking you now. I've got you, Suzette, thank you.
We have Wesley Forbes.
I have Wes Forbes. Do you want me to read down the list again now with my corrections?
Well, I have 3 hands still up. Leslie Bonebreak
Oh, Pam Leader. Okay.
and Pam Leader.
Okay, I got Leslie.
And for everyone new, the 5 county officers are automatically on the list of district and state delegates. So don't think that we're not volunteering if you didn't hear our names.
Right.
So
And we,
is that 38 delegates plus 5 county or 38?
yes, that's correct. 38 elected delegates plus the 5 county officers. So we have to take those 5 county officers' gender into account when we do our total gender balance. All right. Any other hands raised? You want me to read through them again quickly?
Kathy, would you read through them one more time?
Going to an in-person convention.
Yes, ma'am. Here we go. I'm going to read Travis Darling, Leslie Bonebreak, Betty Harris, Catherine Hewitt, Pam Leader, Jessica Marone, Lenore Masura, Suzette McDowell, Mary Newcomb Hatch, Madison Pierce, Kathy Rand, Donna Russell, Tomia Simpson, Rebecca Yanez, Ben Alpers, Bob Anthony, Jason Bingham, Wes Forbes, Troy Green, Eric Hermanson, Will Irwin, Haifeng G, Chris Kennedy, and Ed Sankowski. Just as a clarification, is Mike Allagood asking a question? He's a committeeman, so is not at this point a delegate, but we are going to have some holes, and at that point we can nominate and second, I believe. Did I miss anybody?
I have a question, Kathy. I thought I heard Lenore Masura. Is she on the list the second time?
Yes.
Maybe I just missed it. Okay, good. Thanks, Lenore.
Kind of a question for clarification, Ben and Kathy. This first list and count is from delegates of the convention.
That's correct.
But then if we have non-delegates of the convention who want to attend, they need a first and a second. And then, oh, go ahead, Ben.
To be clear, nobody has been nominated yet. This is an informal count.
Right.
So depending on what our numbers look like, the next order of business will either be to break into caucuses or to formally have nominations. At which point, people who are delegates who want to run, county delegates who want to run for state delegates should just self-nominate, and they do not need a second. And then as Jamie said, if you want to nominate someone who is not a delegate, but is a Democrat from Cleveland County, you can nominate them with a second.
It's in person. The state meeting. You're unmuted.
Kathy, have you got a total count yet?
Yes, the informal count at this point, I've got 24.
And how does it break down between men and women?
Breaks out by 13 female, 10 male, 1 non-binary. So we've
still got 14 to go.
Right.
So people need to start raising their hands.
Yes, sir.
So just for clarification, with those numbers, how many female delegates or male delegates are we short? And again, just to clarify, what non-binary people who want to run alter the gender numbers, but they don't fall under either gender. So I'm asking this question, assuming that no additional non-binary people run. Of course, additional non-binary people can run.
Correct. At this point, with the 3 female Central Committee officers, 2 male Central Committee officers, we have 16 female and 12 male and 1 non-binary.
And how many male and female delegates, assuming no additional non-binary delegates, are we short?
Oh God, you're gonna make me do math. Let's see. I should get that little spreadsheet thing. Stand by.
And Kathy, Barbara Schindler has her hand up. Barbara, are you wanting to be a state delegate? You can nod or wave.
Okay, that brings us to,
And Alex Lanfear has his hand up.
Unmute Alex. Alex, you're intending to be added to the state delegate list?
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
was
And then-
Connie Allagood, were you interested in being a delegate?
I'm not interested in going to an in-person convention.
Okay.
So if the county, if the district convention's on Zoom, fine, but I don't want to go to an in-person convention in May.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
And we have
And then-
one other hand up, Annie.
Any
Min?
ends?
Stand up.
Okay.
And Annie, you're wanting to be a state delegate.
Correct.
Perfect. Now lower your hands.
Okay, so hang on a second. Let me see if I can find my cheat sheet. All right, caucus math for delegate counts. Thank you, Chris Lackey.
Kathy, you didn't put Mike down for anything, did you?
No, I didn't. Is he interested?
No.
Okay.
Same reason. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so let's see here.
Kathy, for Connie and Mike, if they are on Zoom, they want to be a participant. So we know for sure that the district convention will be on Zoom. And there's a 9 out of 10 chance that Zoom for state convention, according to Jared Deck.
Right.
So would Mike and Connie want to be alternates? If we find people that are comfortable with the in-person in June, then they would be the delegate. But if everything's on Zoom, Mike and Connie can be delegates.
I don't understand what you, if we're delegates and it's not on Zoom, then we have to go through all that paperwork to find somebody to give our proxy to.
No, I think Jamie's suggestion was that you be alternates.
Uh-huh.
And then if it is on Zoom, we can turn to you as an alternate. And if it's not on Zoom, you're only an alternate, so you don't need to find proxies or anything. I think. Is that what you were suggesting, Jamie?
That's exactly, yeah, kind of like we'll have you on our list with an asterisk by your name. That, and the asterisk means if everything's on Zoom, they're a delegate.
Well, what you're saying is if everything's on Zoom, since they're alternative delegates, then they can take the place of the delegate or fill the slot of a non-delegate if we don't have enough.
Exactly.
Do you want to do that one? Yeah, we'll do that. Mike and I'll do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then Ben, what's the rules after this convention with the empty spots? What can the central committee do?
The central committee, I think, can recommend delegates up the chain of command. And Jared, do you know, is it district or state that formally appoints delegates to empty slots?
It's district.
Okay, so what will happen if we have unfilled slots is the newly elected county leadership will probably run around, try to find people to fill those slots, and then we'll submit those names with the ones we've elected to the district. And usually, I mean, I can't obviously speak for district leadership. Usually, I think district leadership respects the suggestions of county leadership and will then appoint as delegates the people suggested by the county for empty slots.
Okay, here's kind of a math update. If I did the math right, considering I'm a musician and I need my spreadsheet. With a total number of delegates, including the 5 officers, that's 43. We have 1 non-binary interested, that makes it 42. And then if I take out the gender of the Central Committee, that makes it a nice even, where was it? Wrong tab. Well, actually, I did that wrong. Sorry. I'm looking at gender balance, but we're under. So at this point, I think we're okay as far as balancing that out.
We're under with both male and female delegates?
Yes, we've got.
Okay,
yes.
so from a rules perspective, what we should do then at this point is our new chair, Destiny, you should call for formal nominations for delegates. And if you raised your hand, you should raise your hand again, and you'll be called on, and you will nominate yourself. And if you want to nominate somebody who is not a delegate to the county convention, you'll need a second for that nomination. And then because we will be under our numbers, these people who nominated will all be declared by our convention rules to be state delegates.
Well, you really, I'm not sure how you all got this just declare. You really ought to do it by acclamation.
Well, I mean, perhaps, but that's actually not what the rules we passed say.
Well, it's not in the.
Is it not in the rules?
I don't see it in the rules.
Let me look. I should know this because I was responsible for the rules. I'm happy to do it by acclamation if that is what's called for.
It may be in the bylaws.
Eric,
yeah.
You may have an old set. They have changed the set of rules and constitution and bylaws for virtual meetings.
Okay.
They're not, I mean, they're the same, but they're in some respects not the same because of the virtual aspect of the meeting.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say. I don't actually have the bylaws or the constitution, but in terms of the rules that Cleveland County did, I don't see anything in there.
It's Rule 7B. The chair will formally take nominations if for any gender that there is no overage of nominations, the chair will formally take nominations for delegates of other genders and declare them to be state delegates. So if you don't have more than the proper number of delegates, the chair takes nominations and declares them to be state delegates. That's what those rules say. And just to clarify, that was trying to match the procedures we have for other officers we're electing. I have no objection in principle to having acclamation, but that happens not to be what the rules say.
Yeah.
But thank you. I'm seriously, thank you for the intervention. These things work best when everything's clear, and if things aren't clear, that they get clarified.
Well, once again, where are we on our account?
I just want to make sure before I say something that I'm not messed up. So hang on just a second. I'm doing a little spreadsheet thing here.
I have a question. Can we nominate people who are not here?
Yes.
Yes, you need a second, but you can.
Thanks, Travis. Okay, so, and I did then also see Victoria Armstrong's hand is raised, so I'm going to double check my counts here. 1, 2, 3, 4. We might be right at the women set. Okay, I'm gonna do one more count.
My daughter might like to be a delegate. She's not quite sure.
You can state your name. Who was that?
This is Mary Newcomb
Mary.
Hatch. And my daughter, Mary Newcomb, who is a Democrat, states that she might like to do this if we need numbers.
Okay, that's exactly what I was going to add, because if we do actually go over and nobody steps aside, we need to go into caucuses.
Well, I'd be happy to serve or be an alternate if you need more of those.
Yeah, so what we did last time when we had a few more people than we had delegate slots is we basically took volunteers for alternate slots. That's another way to get the numbers right.
All right, so when I said I thought we were close to being right on the females, I'd forgotten I was taking also into account the officers. So the officers break is 2 male, 3 female, no non-binary, so that's 5, and we can set them aside. We need to keep them for the gender balance though. Among the delegates, I'm counting 12 males, 18 females, 1 non-binary for a total of 31 delegates. So we're under still. We have, we can take 7 more delegates from the convention.
And what's the gender breakdown, assuming no more non-binary delegates of those 7?
We would need 6 men.
Right.
Okay.
To match the 18 women.
Oops.
We would still have a few empty spots to twist arms afterwards or
No, we have-
recruit or.
That would actually put us right at 37. Oh, 1 more. Right, we'd need 1 more of either. Because if we added 6 more men, that would bring us to 18 males, 18 females. If we hold steady at the number of females and 1 non-binary, that's 37 delegates.
Kathy, can I ask you a quick question? Did you say there are 18 female? Is that 18 female plus 3 from
That's 18 from the from the delegate. That does not count. That if we have counting the county officers, that's 21 females and 14 males.
Isn't it true we need to have 21 females then? Because we only have 43 altogether. And so it is 21 male, 21 female, and 1.
That's right. That's
that
right.
means we do have female right now, 21 then.
Right. Oh, yeah, yeah, okay.
Does it make, am I right on this? I mean.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Right, in which case all of the empty slots are male slots.
Right now, we only have 31 of the delegate of the 38. Yeah, okay. Is that right?
Which I think all 7 goes to male.
I think that's right.
Yeah, yep, you're right. Thank you. So really at this point, we can, if we have no other females desiring to be delegates, then we're set there and we can turn to the arm twisting for males.
Kathy, I don't know if you saw in the chat that Loretta Autry said she'd been kicked off, but would be willing to serve.
Right, I believe, yes, I went back and marked her.
Okay, good.
Thank you. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep, she's one.
I just cleared all the hands.
Okay.
So do we need to do a beg and plead for any of the men who have not raised their hand earlier? If we need 7.
Okay,
7.
one quick thing with the Oligoods in the mix, since Mike was elected as a committee man, he's not technically in, so we'll just need to do a quick, I'll nominate him and you can second him and we can elect him in and just, we'll be good, just to make sure that we tie up that loose end at the end.
Right. And what I would suggest doing, Kathy, is when we formally take nominations, if you wouldn't mind like checking off the people who had volunteering, just so that we make sure we touch base with everybody who's informally expressed an interest.
Yeah, are you in my spreadsheet, Ben, by chance?
No, I am not. Should I be?
You can see what I'm doing in here if you want.
Do I want to?
Probably not. Because it's not pretty, but the tab delegates in attendance, I've sorted by gender, and out there in column A is the X of all the people who had raised their hands. And so I'm just counting them up. And then down here at the bottom, rows 121, we have 2 male officers, 3 female officers, no non-binary, and then the delegate count.
Taylor says in chat that she has a male nomination.
Oh.
So that would be another man.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna do something here. I'm gonna mark that in and then bump that number up.
Now we're looking for 6.
Pardon me? Yeah.
Are we looking for 6 now?
Do I need to physically run down the hall and twist my husband's arm? Or can I do it virtually? Oh, look, his hand is up and it went down, up, down, up. All right, I think Mr. Rothfuss has volunteered himself. And Mr. Zimmer, that's 2 more. So that's 13, 14, 15.
I've almost got one on the hook. Give me 5 seconds.
This will be a nomination.
Women forcing men to do stuff, the heart and soul of the Democratic Party.
And Bill Guy has volunteered. So that brings us to 16 for sure. And if we almost, if Leslie has one that's going to commit, that would
Not
bring
U.S. citizens and not registered.
Oh. All right. I'll look at
Couple
that.
myself. I'm kind of hitting up a few people.
Okay. All right. So we are at this point, we stand, we're 2 males short.
We have Bill Guy has his hand up. I don't know if that.
I looped him in already. Now here, Galen Hayes, we've been having a hard time getting Galen's audio connected, but it looks like there's a hand clap or something. And I'm not sure if
That hand clap has been up a very long time, so I wouldn't, absent. Maybe does Galen has a thumbs up now.
Okay, so is that, I'm assuming Galen Hayes is volunteering to be a delegate, right?
A delegate.
Okay.
Yes. You can ask Troy to verify all that with his precinct partner.
And there's a thumbs up. So I'm going to put Galen down as a delegate, which leaves us just 1 male short for our total. And I'm hoping somebody is checking my math for gender balance and stuff in here, since I've messed it up the first time around, right?
Okay. Now I'm going to go to your spreadsheet.
Now you're going to go to my spreadsheet.
Now I'm going to your spreadsheet.
Hey, Kathy?
Yeah.
I don't mean to interject, but if Galen's on there, have him get in touch with me, because I've tried several times with his phone and with his email and has yet to get any response.
Okay.
So if he's on there, stress for him to try and get in touch with me.
Okay. Galen, can you give us a thumbs up? If
Kathy?
Yes, ma'am.
I called Galen. He said, yes, he did volunteer. He just can't get his stuff to work.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Connie?
Uh-huh.
Send me his phone number then, because the phone number I've got is his office and they never, ever, ever respond back to me.
Well, when he answered this phone, he said law office.
Okay, and that's what I've been calling.
He's like Eric. He's got it all of them tied together.
Okay. Well, that's what I've been calling, but he hasn't ever responded back. So.
Well, he did answer this one. Okay. Which surprised me.
Okay, so let's see if we are still at this, where we stand right now is including our county officers in the gender balance, 1 non-binary, 21 females, which is where we are, and 19 males, and we're still just down 1 male for our total 38. A second. That's not right. With 17 males and 18 females and 1 non-binary, that's just brings us to 37 delegates. So we can actually add 1 more in any of those plus 1 male, right, Ben?
I think just off, I'm looking at the spreadsheet now and trying to figure out like where.
Yeah, because it doesn't make any sense. Okay, so here are my officers.
Kathy, did you say 18, 17, and 1?
18, 17, right, 18, 17, and 1.
And then
In
for the elected ones, 3, 2. Am I right?
Correct.
So that means that we have 21 females and we have 19 male.
All right. And 1 non-binary.
Which
So,
means
but we are allotted 38 delegates in addition to our 5. So we're at 36 at this moment. So
But they both need to be at least
male.
They both need to be male.
How do you count non-binary?
You don't.
Well,
You
then how
take
do
them. You take non-binary off, and then you equalize the remaining delegates, male and female. That's the way that parties have to do it this year.
but they're counted in the 38 delegates.
They're counted among they're counted among the total number of delegates, but they're not. They're basically just excluded from the point of view of gender balance. That's the way the parties do it.
Then how are you going to get balance of male and female? Because you can only have 37 delegates after that.
it's as close as you can. We can't be out of balance, so that can be 1 off.
Okay.
Right. Thanks, Travis. I think that's the way I understand it too. Travis just put it up in chat.
Thank you, Travis.
Thank you, Travis.
You never let me down with the with the math.
I figure if I'm the non-binary person throwing the gender balance all out of whack, I can at least do the math for y'all.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, was Jared Deck raised his hand? And
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, I feel like some of the confusion is we actually have 43 total delegates to the convention, not 38. So we have 43. So the way Travis put it up there to where people can see the count, I think that's a little less confusing. Thank you.
Correct, thank you. And the gender of the central committee just has to go into the balance, the gender balance equation. We still have 38 bodies besides the county officers. So, Jared, are you going to be yeah?
Well, put me down as an alternate, please. That way it'll be easy to put me in if needed.
Does anybody know, and this is sort of beyond the county rules. This is why I'm asking people who know state rules better than I do. Can you elect alternates if you don't have a full slate of delegates?
That's a great question.
I know we can elect alternates. I know we can elect alternates if we fill the delegate slots. I'm not 100% sure we can elect alternates if we don't fill the delegate slots.
It seems to me the proper course of action would be to go ahead and elect them all as delegates with the understanding that if you can't go, we will find you a proxy.
Okay, then put me down.
Okay.
Do we still need to vote on Mike?
Yeah, all of this is still informal. And assuming the numbers are sort of like they are now, what's going to happen next once we've done counting and twisting arms is formally take nominations.
Okay. Okay.
And then we'll just tidy that all up.
Okay.
Do you all need me to do something here?
Govern the state. That's what we need you
Yeah.
to do.
I'm hearing, I
Jacob.
walked away for a little while. I came back and I was like, you need one more what? Oh,
Well,
I
you're
gotta
already
take my
a delegate.
puppy out.
I know.
Yeah, but
That's what I was going to say.
You are, so.
Jacob, nominate me as a delegate. If I'm not back in time for formal nominations, I gotta take this dog out.
Okay.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's the other thing about this procedure. We're going to go through formal nominations, and if for some reason you've dropped off the call, you've had to leave, Kathy has your name down, and someone else can nominate you in that case. So don't like if you're on a sort of dodgy connection, don't sweat it. If your name's down, we'll get you nominated.
Yeah. And we still have to do resolutions.
Right.
Oh, we're still waiting on the name for Taylor's possible nomination. That one, that number is still in there. That person's still in there.
My name is it's Connor Boren.
Ah. Okay, so that's one that we'll need to, I'm gonna flag these as people we will need to nominate in second, and then I'll go up and do Mike the same way.
For everyone on YouTube watching, join us in 2 years for all of this.
For all those on YouTube watching, it's like paint drying, right?
Can I make a motion?
Yes.
Could we go ahead and go to the nominations and then finally see what we have at the end of the nominations? And if we need to tidy up, we can do it then.
Yeah. I think that's a fine idea. Though I don't think actually that needs to be formally a motion. I think that's just an excellent suggestion.
Okay.
Destiny, if you want to start taking at any time, you still have the gavel, Destiny. If at any time you want to just call for nominations, that's completely in order.
All right, let's do it. I'd now like to call for formal nominations for state delegate.
As a point of order, is this for those who are non-delegates, correct?
No, this is for anybody. You can either nominate yourself, or if you're nominating a non-delegate, say you're nominating a non-delegate, and we'll need a second.
Okay, so all this stuff we've done before was
Preparatory to this.
preparatory to this.
So Kathy, just keep track of on your list so when we're done with raising hands and Destiny calling on us and nominating ourselves or somebody else, we'll go back to Kathy and see where we stand relative to that list.
Okay.
Point of order, Ben.
Yep.
Could Kathy read the list, and if someone has changed their mind to get out, they raise their hand? So we're only raising hands if you are like jumping ship.
I think actually the simplest way to do this, and I don't think this would be like a vast violation of order, and again, Destiny, you're in charge of this meeting, is simply to have Kathy read to call on the list. See what I mean?
Yes.
So start by just calling on the list, and then as a name comes off, you say, I nominate myself. And then when we're done with that, we'll call for nominations of non-delegates, and then it'll be a smaller list of hands. Does that make sense?
That sounds great. Let's
Okay.
go for it. So we're calling for nominations, and Kathy, would you read the list, please?
Yes, Travis Darling.
When Kathy calls your name, say, I nominate myself as a state delegate.
Okay, so Travis Darling.
I nominate myself for the role of state delegate.
Thank you. Connie Allagood.
I nominate myself for state delegate.
It's about time.
Victoria Armstrong. Victoria Armstrong.
I nominate myself as a state delegate.
This is your time.
Loretta
That's not
Autry.
what I'm talking about.
I nominate myself for state delegate.
Kathy, you're muted.
Oh, how'd I get muted? Okay, sorry. Leslie Bonebreak.
I nominate.
Okay, cool. We got her. Betty Harris,
Second on Leslie Brown Brick, since she wasn't, no, she doesn't need a second because she's a delegate now.
Betty Harris.
I nominate myself for state delegate.
Thank you. Catherine Hewitt,
I nominate myself for state delegate.
Pam Leader, Pam Leader,
Sorry, I forgot to unmute. I nominate myself for state delegate.
okay. Jessica Marone,
I nominate myself for state delegate.
and can you am I saying your name right?
Yes, you are.
Thank you. Lenore Masura,
I nominate myself for state delegate.
Suzette McDowell, probably need to unmute Suzette.
I'll go ahead and nominate Suzette. This is
All right.
Troy.
Thank you, Troy. Alicia Menz,
I nominate myself for state delegate.
thank you. Mary Newcomb Hatch,
I nominate myself for state delegate.
Madison Pierce,
I nominate myself for state delegate.
Kathy Rand,
I nominate myself for state delegate.
Donna Russell,
I nominate myself for state delegate.
Barbara Schindler,
I nominate myself for state delegate.
Tomia Simpson,
I nominate myself for state delegate.
Rebecca Yanes.
I nominate myself for state delegate.
All righty. I'm going to skip Mike for now. We'll come back to him. Ben Alpers,
I nominate myself for state delegate.
Bob Anthony,
I nominate myself for state delegate.
Jason Bingham,
I nominate myself for state delegate.
Jared Deck,
I nominate myself for state delegate.
Wes Forbes, Wesley Forbes. Is he on the call?
I'll nominate
Leslie Forbes for. Oh.
Thank you. Troy Green.
I nominate myself for delegate.
All right. Bill Guy.
I nominate myself for state delegate.
Okay, and Galen Hayes, we're having audio problems, so somebody want to nominate Galen?
I nominate Galen Hayes for state delegate. This
Got
is
it.
Connie.
Okay, thank you. Eric Hermanson,
I nominate myself for state delegate.
Will Irwin,
I nominate myself for state delegate.
Haifeng G,
I nominate myself for state delegate.
Christopher Kennedy,
I nominate myself for state delegate.
Alex Lanfear,
Nominate myself for state delegate.
Lance Rothfuss,
I nominate myself for state delegate.
Ed Sankowski,
I nominate myself for state delegate.
Jason Zimmerer.
Nominate myself for state delegate.
Okay, now I've got two folks. Ben, do we need to handle those first, or can I go ahead and get the two nominations that need a second?
Who are you asking me about?
Mike Oligood and Connor Boren, who are not voting delegates, who can't self-nominate. We need.
Oh, okay, yeah, just have someone nominate them and we'll second it.
Okay, so Mike Oligood, Connie, would you like to nominate him?
Okay, I nominate Mike. Did you get me?
Yes.
Okay, I nominate Mike Alligood.
Okay, and I will second. Who's that?
I'll second him. Leslie Bone break a second. Mike Allgood.
Great, perfect. All right, and then Connor Boren.
I nominate Connor Boren for state delegate.
And who would like to second him?
I'll second it.
Whoops, I just popped into a completely different window. What happened there? Hang on.
Who was the second? I'm sorry.
I volunteered to second him.
Thank
Wesley
you, Wes.
Forbes.
All right, so we have all of our nominations, and we have two nominations with a second of non-delegates, which gives us 37 folks. So what next?
If, assuming we do not have too much of either male or female delegates, Destiny, you can just declare these people delegates.
I do declare these people delegates for state convention. Thank you.
Do declare. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, everyone who is working on that. I know it's a process, so thank you to everyone. Now I believe I'd like to turn it over to the Resolutions Committee.
Hi, this is Kathy Rand. And I am the chair of the Resolutions Committee. And am I coming across?
Yes.
There we go. So I had the honor of being elected to serve as a delegate for the Bernie Sanders at the Democratic National Convention, and I want to thank you for entrusting me with that honor. So I've been asked to serve as the chair for this Resolutions Committee. I thank you for that as well. I want to thank the committee members who served with me, Stephanie Moser-Goins, Matt Brandstetter, and Farzad Khalili. We came to a consensus on these resolutions that have been emailed to you. At our first meeting, we agreed to work from the previous set of resolutions from 2019. We started with that Google document, and we each made suggestions to the document, like comments in Word, and then we discussed those later at Zoom meetings. We worked to make the format consistent and to consolidate repetitions. We tried to format each resolution so it could be quoted as a standalone statement rather than a bullet point phrase. It's important, for instance, at the National Convention, there was a major discussion and vote about whether our national platform would include support for universal single-payer healthcare. And organizers asked delegates to report on whether their state platform included it. So even though I was never able to get the copy of the state platform from Alicia Andrews, who they weren't able to find a copy. So I emailed organizers a quote from our 4th district resolutions that did include it and said that I understood that it was incorporated into the state platform from our district. I knew that it came from our Cleveland County platform. So when we voted on the platform at the National Convention, many of us ended up voting no because it was excluded. The universal single payer healthcare was excluded from the national platform, and we lost that vote. You may ask, why do we care? It's just a platform. Candidates don't have to follow the platform, and that's true. But these resolutions are the conscience of our party, and it represents our aspirations and goals, the aspirations and goals of the people who do the work for this party. So we set out to make sure these resolutions are based on our values as Democrats. I know I worked on suggestions to bring to the committee for about 11 hours, and then we spent 8 hours discussing and coming to a consensus. And then we spent at least 4 hours with the final formatting with Kathy Rotfus's help. We got 2 excellent resolutions from the precincts. Precinct 53 submitted a great resolution on criminal justice. Precinct 8 submitted an excellent resolution on voting rights. The committee agreed with both of the submitted resolutions and incorporated them into the document. Each of the members of the committee also drafted resolutions that were added. We also made separate sections for resolutions that we expanded into certain areas, for instance, on free speech and a free press, on Native American tribes and tribal sovereignty, and on Democratic Party responsibilities. And I especially want to thank Stephanie Moser-Goins for her work on the Native American section. She's an attorney who works on tribal law, and it was incredibly helpful to have Stephanie as an attorney advising us on wording throughout the document. So thanks for reading them. We have not received any requests to alter these resolutions. So that I have not seen any requests at all for any other Google documents. that would change our resolutions at all. And I have not received any stylistic amendments or any substantive amendments. And so with that, I would ask that a motion be considered to adopt these resolutions as submitted.
I move that we adopt the resolutions as submitted. Ben Alpers, Precinct 8.
We
I
need a
second. Jamie Shelton, I second.
Can you hear me? Eric Hermanson, Precinct 4. I just have one suggestion, notwithstanding what you just said, that I didn't send in a amendment, but we could amend it when it goes to the 4th district. We need, on the voting rights section, we need to add that we support HR 1, which is the For America Act. Can you hear me?
Yes, and I think as a member of the Precinct 8 committee that came up with that, I think that's a totally friendly amendment. I don't know whether there's any elegant way to do it right now. I think the thing to do would be, I mean, I would be, again, as co-author of that amendment of that resolution, I'd be all in favor of attaching that as a suggestion as it goes up to district. But I don't think there's actually any way to amend it formally now unless you have a petition with 25% of delegates.
Correct. Yes, but you'll get a chance to redo these at the district convention and just add that.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah.
Does HR 1 include provisions that make it harder for third parties to get on ballots?
Not to the best of my knowledge, but
I mean, it's a Democratic sponsored act, so if it's passed by the House of Representatives, almost on a party line vote, actually.
Yeah, let's check into it as a recommendation going forward to the district.
Yeah.
Did we have a motion on the floor?
No.
Yes, there is a motion on the floor to pass these resolutions. By the rules, there can be up to 6 minutes of debate. So I guess, Destiny, you might want to ask whether anyone wants to speak in favor or against the resolutions, because that's in our rules.
I have a comment I'd like to make. I haven't read it, so I don't know, but I know if HR 1 doesn't pass, there'll be a lot of people that won't get to vote. And I think that was the primary purpose of that, was to stop the gerrymandering and until you stop some of that bottom line basic stuff, you know, that these Republicans have been doing almost my whole lifetime. It's just going to get worse and worse. Now, I don't know how a third party gets on, so I don't know anything about that. Thank you. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Connie. Okay, so we've got a motion to approve. Is there any debate for or against?
Well, let me just say, Eric Hermanson, Precinct 4, they're well done on the resolutions.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you, Eric.
Well done. Thank you.
Okay, so I believe we've got a motion on the floor to approve and a second. Did we have a second on that motion? Okay, and seeing as there's no debate, I believe.
Who made the motion and who made the second? I'm sorry, I forgot I'm secretary now.
I made the motion.
Kathy, I'm still keeping minutes. You're okay.
Oh, thank you, Jared.
Yeah.
Jamie Shelton seconded. Ben, how do we vote? We raise our little hand.
Okay, do we
No,
need it?
we vote by acclamation.
Okay.
Right. So I think Destiny just say, without objection, if anyone objects, you can
Without
object.
objection. Okay, so those are approved. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
you,
everybody.
Yeah, it was wonderful. Okay, so now it's time to adjourn.
Wait, actually, announcements
Announcements.
are actually, if there's anybody has any announcements before we adjourn.
Yeah.
Was there any additional business?
Not on the agenda. No.
I think Jared had.
Yeah, Jared has his hand up.
Okay. Go ahead, Jared.
Okay, well, hey, I want to say thank you to everyone who's here today. This is the heart of the Democratic Party. You're the heart of Cleveland County, and this group is the heart of progress in Oklahoma. My name is Jared Deck. I am a candidate for state representative in District 44, which is Core Norman, and I'd just like to take a minute to introduce myself. Woody Guthrie once said that a folk singer's job is to comfort the disturbed and to disturb the comfortable. I'm a folk singer. I'm a work-at-home dad, and I'm a Democratic volunteer and someone who's proud to be a progressive Democrat. My story starts on a family farm in Western Oklahoma. We ran wheat and cattle, and we operated the local grocery. After school each day, I stocked shelves and mopped floors, and then went home and picked rye in the field. But after college, I pursued every parent's dream for their child. I played music at bars on Saturday and church on Sundays, and I worked at a local factory to pay the bills. And that's where my story took a turn. It was the type of thing that you see on TV. After a 12-hour night shift, we were summoned to a mysterious plant-wide meeting. And at that meeting, all 275 of us were informed that we would lose our jobs to overseas facilities. Now, these were 275 humans from different places and different cultures who were brought together by opportunity, only to be tossed aside basically for a tax break. And it was on that day 14 years ago that I realized that the fight that we're up against wasn't personal, but systemic. And today I'm running for state representative because the pandemic has exposed fatal flaws in our infrastructure, our economy, our food and shelter security, and in state leadership. We need forward-thinking leaders who value science and compassion and will consider not merely the fiscal cost of action, but also the human cost of inaction. As everyone on this call knows, over the past year, over 400,000 Oklahomans contracted COVID-19, with nearly 5,000 perishing from the virus. At this moment, over 100,000 renter-occupied households in Oklahoma are nearly $5,000 behind on rent and utilities. For the first time since the Great Depression, we saw empty grocery shelves due to the monopolized bottleneck in our country's food supply chain. And meanwhile, our state government is focused on boosting tourism and spending public dollars on private education. As your representative, I will listen to, amplify, and advocate Norman's voice for accountability of a government that too often leaves behind those of us who weren't born on third base. As a patient and a board member of the largest community health center in Oklahoma, I volunteer with those on the front lines of our state's health and mental health crises. Seeing the faces of tens of thousands of our neighbors in need of care led me to volunteer for State Question 802 and fight to pass Medicaid expansion. And so many of you who are on this call joined me in that. And we went and we gathered the signatures and we got people out to vote to make sure that our neighbors had access to health care that they need. As a former substitute teacher and now a Board of Education member for our local career tech, I hear the stories of students sacrificing time with their families to learn a trade and break cycles of generational poverty. And last year, I joined the board of the ACLU of Oklahoma because the price of inaction far outweighs the cost of action. And the battle for equity and justice requires more than singing Bob Dylan songs around a campfire. It requires work. It requires dedication. And to a group like this is not anything that I need to tell you, because you understand the work, because we are the ones who do the work for progress in our state. When I was younger, I wanted to believe that success determined my work. I tried placing faith in the value of individual achievement, but instead I found success in family and purpose and service to a community with common vision. Now, I'm no Woody Guthrie, but I am a folk singer, and I am working at progress. And I'm asking you to join a community of the disturbed and the comfortable to work together and send our collective values to the state capitol. I'm asking you to join me and join the fight, and go to my website at deckfornorman.com. You can learn more about me and my platform and my values. Because I need your help. This is not a fight that we can afford to lose. This is not a fight that I can win on my own. It's going to take entire communities coming together and working together to heal the health and economic wounds of this pandemic. I need your help, because this fight isn't made for one person. It's made for you and me. I want to thank you for being here today. I want to thank the Cleveland County Democratic Party for giving me an opportunity to serve these last 2 years. I will continue to serve as a volunteer for this party for the foreseeable future. I will not be an elected official who doesn't remember this county party. You will continue to see me at events time in and time again. You will probably get tired of me at one point or another, but I love Norman. I love Cleveland County, and I love this party. And I want to thank each one of you who have supported me thus far. And I want to thank you for those of you who are going to join this fight today. But thanks again for being here. And Destiny, I'll turn it back over to you.
Hey, thank you so much, Jared. Are there any other announcements?
I'd just like to make a statement, Destiny. This is Troy Green.
Okay, thank you, Troy.
I want to sincerely thank all of the outgoing officers, Richard, Jared, and I know Kathy's not leaving, but she's going to be back to continue her work. But I really want to thank them for all the efforts and all the dedication that they have put in to the Cleveland County Democratic Party in this past 2 years, especially going through a pandemic and when we was in struggling times and hard to, get finances. They came through and they worked and dedicated and gave every effort possible to see that our party, at least here, especially here in Cleveland County, has been stable and stayed stable and moving forward. And I really, truly want to thank them and tell them how much I, as a Democrat and a volunteer and a past officer in Cleveland County, appreciate their efforts and hard work and wish them well, and will continue to work as a whole to make our party move forward in the coming months and years. Thank you.
Thank you for those words, Troy. Are there any other announcements from anyone?
Yes, thank you all. This is Representative Jacob Rosecrans. I also want to mirror what Troy and what Jared so eloquently said. Without the Cleveland County Democratic Party, I am not a state representative. It doesn't happen. My district over here, we're not blue. But with the work that we've done over here since 2016, it's become to where a Democrat has a chance. And that's really saying something. And now with redistricting coming down, I'm not quite sure how that's going to look, but we have all the promise in the world to really hammer home this area here and make Norman as good as we possibly can get it. Again, though, without you guys, without everybody fighting and caring, it just doesn't happen. And so, I don't have an opponent yet in 2022, but they're going to come from me. And there's a they, and it's probably begins with a U, and the other word begins with an N. It's probably going to happen. It's something we really have to keep an eye out for. I'm already identifying many folks who want to take a shot at me. So just be prepared. But I also will say, just like Jared said, I'm not one of those state representatives that's going to, or the elected official that's going to stay away from these county type things, because you're the grassroots. You're the reason why I am a state representative. I'll always remember that. And just want to join you in this fight at the Capitol. It is not an easy fight. This is, you heard Leader Virgin say before, just how difficult it is at the Capitol. And that's an understatement. This is the worst I've ever seen. And it's because we only have 19 Democrats out of 101. So we are trying to do our best to strengthen the Democrat Party throughout or just really us as a caucus statewide. And we've got some good plans. So just keep in touch, and I'll keep in touch with y'all. But thank you, and keep up the fight.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other announcements?
Only to remind our newly elected delegates of the 2 conventions. I'll throw these dates up on the screen real quick if I can find my button. Oh, and it's noon. Guess what? Sirens.
This is, I think you should be able to see the screen with the dates.
Okay.
And then.
And of course,
There we
we'll
go.
be sending this out via email as well, reminders and whatnot as the plans develop.
I'd like to remind everyone that we send out a weekly-ish newsletter via email. And that if you talk to people and you're out and about and they want to know what the Cleveland County Democrats are doing, sign them up for the email. Ask their permission, and you could do it on your phone. You can do it in person. And then that's really the best way for us to weekly get information out. And we try to provide information from candidates whenever that is, the time of that season. And then we really want to start utilizing that program that we send the newsletters out to engage with new people that sign up, and then try to find volunteers for all kinds of things. And then just on behalf of the new Central Committee, I just want to say thank you for putting your faith into us. And we look forward to working with everyone and getting the office open in some form or fashion in the next, once we know everyone has their shots. So everyone will get your shots. If you haven't got your vaccine yet, call me, I'll help you. But it's out there now, and it's easy to find them if you can get there. If you need a ride, maybe we can practice driving people. Instead of driving them to the polls, we'll drive them to the vaccine sites if you feel comfortable doing those kinds of things. So the email address is going to stay the same, ccdemsok@gmail.com. The Twitter, the Facebook, all those things. Engage with us. Let us know what we can do to help. And I look forward to working with Destiny. She and I have known each other since 1999. We met in a freshman journalism class at Oklahoma State University. We should have told you guys that we're OSU alums, I guess, in the beginning, but we wanted to sneak in here and do that. So, but
it's a takeover, right?
yeah, go Cowboys, pistols firing.
What has happened?
Really,
what has happened? Really. Boomer.
But we really do have a lot of ideas and plans on ways to get all of us back engaged, and find ways for beans and cornbread, and chips and salsas and drinks with Dems, and whatever we want to do to engage folks in our county. So yesterday there was an article in the paper, front page, about the newly elected chairperson for the other organized party in our county. They're looking to take over our elected seats. They want to get rid of the Democrats elected in office at the city level, city council, school boards. They're coming for us, and we need to link arms and fight against some of that rhetoric. So thank you. And then I see another hand. Jared will go back to him. I'm done. I got to get a brisket to my wife and mother-in-law. So
Bye.
Just a real quick clarification. I just double checked on the ODP website. The convention is Friday and Saturday, June 11th and 12th. They did run over to Sunday on a previous one, but it looks like the body of the work will be on Saturday. Friday is typically workshops and whatnot. So just want to make sure. That's okay.
Okay, are there any other announcements?
I have one.
Okay.
This afternoon from noon to 2 p.m., there is a volunteer canvassing event at Brookhaven Park for Allison Petrone for Ward 3 City Council. And so if you would like to canvass, there is lit dropping and there is door knocking available. Both types of lists are available. But they will be there from noon to 2 p.m. today at Brookhaven Park in West Norman.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. Are there any other announcements?
Yes, I have. I'd like to make an announcement.
Okay, thank you.
The Cleveland County Democratic Women's Group is still meeting every third Monday of every month. We have a Zoom meeting. Our leader, Margaret Blevins, has been doing an awesome job of getting new, fresh speakers every month. And I'd like to invite everyone to join us. We have a Facebook page called the Cleveland County Democratic Women, but we will allow men to come. But we'd like to see more people. Like I said, she's really lined up some great speakers, and I would like for more people to take advantage of it. It's a free thing and it's on Zoom.
Hey, thank you, Pam. Any other announcements? I don't see anybody. Okay, once again, thank you all for coming. Thank you for all of your work over the last years. I want to extend congratulations and a great job to the outgoing Central Committee. And I want to elevate and thank and appreciate Richard for all that he has done for us in creating and helping steward our strategic plan that's going to lead us into the future. So I would just ask all of you to just remember Richard as he goes through these health struggles. Encourage him. Please do that because he has been such a great leader for this party. So with having said that, have a wonderful weekend, and this meeting is
We
adjourned.
need a motion to close.
Oh, motion. I need a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
A second.
I need a second. Great. Are there any objections? No. We're adjourned. Have a great weekend, everybody. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.